On a day that makes me remember why I live in Green Valley. Does anybody agree? Yeah. So, my name is Rebecca Bradner. I'm the publisher of the Green Valley News and Sahuarita Sun. And on behalf of our organization and GVR, who has been so amazing in letting us hold this forum here today, I'd like to welcome you all here. On November 3rd, Pima County voters will have 7 questions before them that represent bond projects totaling nearly $816 million. I have trouble saying numbers that big. Many of us in Green Valley will be voting before then by early ballot. We can decide to pass all, none, or some of the requests. We're here today to help you become better informed on the ballot projects. We're talking to 3 people who've been involved in the process, and each offers a different perspective. Let's welcome our moderator, Dan Shearer, editor of the Green Valley News and Sahuarita.
Okay, just wave your hand if you can't hear me. Okay, let's get started. We're going to have introductions and then an opening question, and then at that point you can feel free to ask any questions you have. I have an awful lot of them, but we're not saving the questions for the end. Okay, so if you have one, raise your hand, try to stay on topic, and try not to pontificate. Okay, and we'll run the mic around. Don't talk without the mic, okay? Let me introduce our 3 speakers, starting far end. That's Gary Davidson. He served on the 1997 and 2015 bond advisory committees. That's the group that decides the bond package that ultimately will be presented to voters. He also served on the County Parks and Rec Board. In the middle is Randy Graf, who's well known in Green Valley. He has served on several boards. He's a former member of the state legislature, and he is here representing the Sahuarita Green Valley Chamber of Commerce. And on this end is Larry Hecker. He chaired the 2015 Bond Advisory Committee, and he is co-chair of the Yes on Pima County Bonds campaign, and he is a Tucson attorney. So welcome, and thank you guys for being here. Thank you. Gary, we're going to start with you. You've been vocal, particularly on radio these past few weeks, about your concerns with the bond package. This is a package that you, by the way, helped to put together, and now you're awfully critical of it. Give us an overview of what you're thinking.
Sure. I joined the Bond Advisory Committee, this one. Was on 97, and I was on the Parks Commission for 13 years. Because I hope to put together a prudent, disciplined plan that would address some of our essential community needs, and we have a number of them, while also being respectful to the hard-pressed taxpayers of Pima County. Unfortunately, I don't think that's what we got. It's a lot more fun to be on the other side and promoting it, and there are an awful lot of good projects that are in here that I supported. And unfortunately, I feel they're buried under so much money. This is 50% larger than the largest project or package we ever did, and that was in '04. And that was a record, I believe, for what we've done. And unfortunately, I just think we've gone way too far on this.
And so to clarify, there are 25 members of the Bond Advisory Committee. 5 ultimately voted against it, and you were one of them.
That's correct.
Larry, you helped put the package together too and think voters should pass all 7 questions, correct?
I certainly do.
You have to speak up a little bit. Get closer.
All right.
Thanks.
And I believe that we accomplished the goal.
Closer, yeah. Closer, yeah. It's around your mouth.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Now, how's that? Is that better?
Better.
All right. Well, Dan, thank you for having me here to answer some of these really important questions. And I think we accomplished the goal that Gary just described the bond committee had. I also chaired the committee that developed the 2004 bond election, the bond package. Starting in 2006, the committee started to develop the next bond package, recognizing that these things are usually voted on every 6 or 7 years. And we started with a list of $3 billion in projects. $3 billion. These weren't frills. These were projects that the jurisdictions in Pima County and Green Valley and the other areas in unincorporated Pima County felt were necessary if we were to keep pace with the growth and provide ourselves with the quality of life that we enjoy. And I think we developed, after hundreds of meetings, input from thousands of citizens. I see some folks here today who were at some of our meetings. We came up with a balanced, fiscally responsible package of projects that will benefit the entire community. Everyone will benefit. In the long run, will provide an immediate stimulus to our economy, but will also provide projects, cultural, arts, recreational projects that will benefit every citizen in Pima County. As importantly, is we'll finally do something about our roads that are in desperate need of repair.
So there are 99 projects on this throughout the 7 questions. You think every one of them, to use Gary's word, is a prudent and disciplined approach to spending our tax dollars? Every one of them?
Every one of the 7 propositions?
No, the 99 projects.
The 99, look, if I had $816 million to spend, this wouldn't be my list, but that's not the way the democratic process works. We heard from residents throughout the community. This is a regional package designed to address the needs of everyone, not just one parochial group, not just one area, but it's designed to provide benefits to everyone, and I think we accomplished that.
So you're hinting that there might have been a little politics involved, though, when it comes to getting certain projects on here? Is that accurate?
No, I wouldn't say politics. As I say, we heard, we had, in the last 2 years, probably 24 public meetings, and we heard from thousands of people, and they explained why they felt the project was necessary. So we responded to the needs of the citizens, not the politicians.
Okay, so when something like a velodrome comes up, how is that approached in the Bond Advisory Committee? I mean, there are about 30 of those in the United States. And why was it decided, and I hate to pick at one little project, it's only $3.5 million, but it's $3.5 million. How did that get on there, something like that?
Okay, well, the bond committee had an extensive matrix of criteria that it would use, that it would apply in considering each project. And in the 180-page bond ordinance is a description of each project. Included in that are the benefits that each project will provide to the community. The velodrome, the proponents of that project made a very compelling case that this would provide a tremendous boost to our economy. It would bring tourists, it would bring bicyclists to our community and add to our already substantial tourism base. So we weighed the benefits, we weighed the costs, we recognized that there was going to be a substantial match from the bicycling community, and that no public money would be involved in the maintenance and operation, and I think the conclusion of the committee, the vast majority of the committee members, was that this was a worthwhile part of this 99 project package.
Okay, Randy, a few weeks back our local chamber decided to support 3 of the 7 questions on the bond. Tell us which of the 3 you're backing and why did you say no to the other 4?
I chair the Government Relations Committee for the Green Valley-Sahuarita Chamber of Commerce. Is this thing working?
Yeah, no, I don't think so.
Right into it.
Gotta get closer, closer.
Testing.
There you go.
I chair the Government Relations Committee for the Green Valley-Sahuarita Chamber of Commerce. The Board of Directors directed us to take a look at the bond proposals and to make recommendations to the board. We spent a couple months going over all 7 bond packages through the individual projects within each bond package, and ultimately through a democratic process of the Government Relations Committee along with input from the Economic Development Committee of the Chamber, we agreed to support Proposition 425, which had to do with the roads, Proposition 426, primarily because that particular proposal had the library in the town of Sahuarita in it, and then Proposition 431 dealing with the flood control. The other 4 packages we felt, quite frankly, had perhaps some good projects in there, but a lot of projects that aren't necessary at this time. And we approached this from the standpoint of what were the impacts on the business community. That is something that's very seldom talked about. You'll see in the pamphlet, I'm sure you all received your voter pamphlet in the mail, numbers coming right out of this pamphlet about what the impacts are to a median valued owner-occupied residence in Pima County. That if all 7 of these bond packages pass, your estimated tax increase will be $47.53 a year for the next 27 years. That's on, once again, a residential property valued at about $120,000. The problem is, in the business community, your typical business, your median business property is valued at closer to $1 million. So at least 6 times greater than what this median is. Also, business property is not taxed at a 10% assessment ratio. Last year they were taxed at, I believe, a 19%. According to this, and I know when I was in the legislature, we worked on trying to reduce the business assessment ratio. It may be down to, according to this document here, 18%. So that's nearly double the 10% valuation of your, or assessment ratio of your residential property. With that, that same tax of $47 on a residence is going to cost your typical business, according to this document, $708 a year. Now, there's a lot of small businesses out there that are struggling. I'm sure you've seen that the Tucson area in Pima County is one of the poorest counties in the country. The economy is not where it should be. These bond packages did not all have to come this year. They could have waited. And so we felt, just from the interest of the business community, that at this time, with the economy that we're in, that the other 4 bond package proposals are not necessary.
Okay, thanks. You mentioned the roads. Gary, if diehard opponents of the bond package were to give in on one issue, it would probably be the road improvements. We know that they're a mess. Should we vote in favor of $200 million to fund road improvements?
Well, let me back up. Flood control is the smallest. So if you have to walk out of the door saying I voted for something, it does the least damage because it's the smallest number. I look at essential government services, and I look at, for local government, that should be roads, public safety, and parks. Now you all may have a little different grouping, but when you look at each of these, I want you to think about, are they addressing what my essential local government services are? And I do want you to go and read the details of each one. My problem with roads is not that they don't need to be fixed. I mean, we have, the same group has been in control of this county for 15 or 20 years, and it says right here in the stuff that 53% of our roads are in failed or poor condition. So we've got a lot of projects in here that maybe are nice ideas, but until they take care of these essential services, I really don't see why we're giving them more money, particularly $1 billion with interest. Now on the roads, my problem isn't that we shouldn't fix the roads. My problem, and I've talked about this before, and the county administrator has said this is not the right way to fund an ongoing expense. So we have an ongoing capital need. This is maintenance. Well, there's 40 million. 80% of this, and when you look at all of these projects, I'm backing up a little, look at the 2 or 3 largest ones in each category. When you look at these proposals, often that will be more than 50% of the total. If you like those, then you can vote yes. If you don't like them, you've got a good idea. In roads, 80% of it is in maintenance. So that's what I'm focused on right here. The funding mechanism, and I'd love to see the roads get fixed, but the funding mechanism for this is an improper match. We're matching an ongoing, every year maintenance issue with long-term capital spending. So at the end of the day, whenever you've run out of that money that you're going to spend, and unfortunately right now they're talking about spending $10 million a year on it, which I frankly think they could find out of their $1 billion operating budget they spend every year. But let's say they do that. When they're done doing it, they're still going to owe that money.